I genuinely think that people can't wrap their minds around what is truly happening in the background when it comes to the supply and demand of Bitcoin and how that's going to affect the entire market. And today I wanted to just talk about it a little bit because what we saw from the fund flow report yesterday was insane to me. We saw that Grayscale Investments saw weekly outflows of right under $2 billion worth of Bitcoin for the most part. I mean, obviously there were some other ones included in that, but the vast majority of this was Bitcoin. Okay. Now, it's insane. It's genuinely insane at how much Bitcoin they're selling off at once. Now, there have been some speculative rumors that they may only have like 2 months to 3 months worth of supply left to sell. Then after that, who really knows what happens, but that's all rumor, that's all speculation. But it is inevitable. They will inevitably run out, and they must, right? I mean, you have to think about it. The impact that they're having on the market is significant, in my opinion, right? You don't just sell $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and not cause ripples. But what you must understand is that this is not a momentum that they can keep up. It's not a momentum they can maintain. They cannot sell $2 billion worth of Bitcoin or $2 billion of crypto worth in general on this current, based on the supply that they have right now they couldn't maintain it for 6 more months, right? And so in a situation like this, and you have someone like Grayscale who is actively holding this market down, and at the same time that they're actively holding the market down, you have all of these other institutions that are starting to accumulate and buy and buy and buy. It kind of like pressure loads it. It's just a pressure where this one's coming down and this one's going up, and they're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until one of them gives. And then this one stops buying and this one keeps selling, and then the market falls. But that's unlikely. That's generally unlikely because what we're seeing right now is an ever-increasing demand for Bitcoin from these institutions. They want to make more money. They're introducing Bitcoin to some of their other hedges, right? They have these other holdings, basically, that they have. These other different areas and asset classes or asset bundles, basically, that they sell to these people, that they're trying to add Bitcoin to because they want to get more fees off Bitcoin, right? And so because of that, you have this ever-increasing demand and this ever-diminishing supply. And at some point, they're going to run out. And they're not going to be able to sell anymore. And when they crumble, when it stops, whenever they, stop selling, if that momentum from the other side maybe even picks up because they know the selling pressure is gone and that the market's likely going to send it up, they might buy more. And what happens is that at the same time, you have to consider all the other macro environmental factors, right? You have to think about the fact that there are shorts right now. We are seeing shorts getting liquidated by the hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. So people are shorting, expecting this thing to fall at some point. And you cause a little bit of a short squeeze while that selling pressure starts to go down, and boom, then the market takes off. Then Bitcoin takes off, and when Bitcoin takes off, and it might not be immediately upwards, we might go to 85K, then down to 60K, then up to 130K, then down to 90K, right? Things like that are possible. I don't give a shit about that. I'm talking about in general. In general, this thing's going up. Then you got to think about what happens to altcoins. Because think about what we're seeing in this market right now. We're seeing thousands of percentages of gains on a daily basis now. We're seeing cryptos hitting $5 million, $10 million market cap easily right now. We're seeing things like Boom hit $1 billion market cap in 24 hours, something that we never saw in 2021. And we're doing that right now with the market being constrained and pulled down by GBTC, by just being constricted. So imagine what happens when that chain is released, and then boom, now we're able to really catch some momentum. And then the liquidity is able to flow. We're not seeing every time liquidity gets injected, liquidity being pulled. We're seeing constant injection of liquidity, causing even more FOMO, which injects more liquidity, causing a short squeeze, which injects more liquidity. Then we see it having more liquidity. Then we see the elections, more liquidity. Then we see interest rates go down, more liquidity. Inflation go down, more liquidity. Do you see why this shit could get really out of control at some point? Now, obviously, there's no way to guarantee this. There's no way to know that that's for sure going to happen. But it would be foolish to not acknowledge that eventually Grayscale, who is limiting the market, who is pulling Bitcoin down, which does inevitably pull the rest of the market down, we know that they are constraining it. And we know, though, that their supply is diminishing while demand is increasing. And at some point, that balance is going to break. And when it breaks, I think things get crazy. So I don't think you're bullish enough. I just don't think you're bullish enough. I don't think people understand just how big it could get. Not saying it has to, but I'm saying that it could. And knowing that it could, and knowing the fact that cryptos beat the odds on so many occasions, I think that we have a good shot. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a video, not necessarily try to rile you up a bit, but make you see that what's happening in the background is much more important than most people are acknowledging. And I hope that does kind of open up your eyes a bit to what the potential here really is. So of course, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.